Mint Events podcast. Today we have with us Mr. Pradosh Kumar Rath, Chairman cum Managing Director of Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited, the corporate entity of Visakhapatnam Steel Plant. Mr. Rath is a graduate in Metallurgy Engineering from the Regional Engineering College, Warangal, and is a Master in Business Administration in Human Resources and Marketing from Andhra University. He joined RINL Visakhapatnam Steel Plant in 1983 as a management trainee. Prior to assuming charge of CMD, he was the Director Operations and has worked in various capacities in the plant. Mr. Rath has rich experience of over 37 years in the steel industry. He has worked extensively in steel making and continuous casting processes. During the critical period of commissioning of Stage 1 and Stage 2 units, Mr. Rath contributed significantly in stabilization and ramping up of production in a very short time. He is an accomplished metallurgist and has spearheaded a number of R&D projects initiated in-house and through the Ministry of Steel, which have improved operational efficiencies immensely. A widely traveled personality, Mr. Rath has visited various countries like Russia, China, Austria, Germany and others, and acquired valuable insights into the working of steel plants. A very good morning and welcome to the interview, sir. And at this end of the mic is Madhumita Mukherjee, editor, Steel 360, a Steel Mint Group published magazine of the steel industry. And the topic of our conversation for this podcast is Unlocking Opportunities Post-COVID-19 Lockdown. So to begin, sir, once again, a very warm welcome. And can we go ahead?
Very good morning to you, Madhumita.
Good morning, sir.
And you and to your team also, who are present over there.
Sir, my first question to you is, how lethal has been the COVID-19 impact on steel demand in India, especially with regard to long products like rebars, wire rods, angles, beams, rounds, the kind of products that RINL manufactures, is an important player in?
Look, Madhumita, what happened in the year 2019, last quarter, when steel market had started looking up, this pandemic was rampant in China, and it started showing its impact actually in the last half of month of March. If I remember correctly, the last month of March, the last 15 days, we started seeing the market going down, and then the demand started slumping down in the month of January and February, and when the lockdown declaration was there on 25th March, really the entire scenario became really very dull, and the market went down drastically. Generally we used to sell around 5 lakh tons or more than 5 lakh tons of steel in the month of March, where we could sell hardly 3.5 lakh tons of steel in the month of March. January, February, of course, had on the front. And as you know that RINL is a long producer, the construction sector and the auto sector being pulled down, the long products was really saw a very bad phase of demand. Coming in the days, in those days actually.
You said that you generally sell 5 lakh tons per month, and in March it was around 3.5 lakh tons, right?
Yeah.
And in January and February, how was it?
January, if you see the marketing scenario, marketing statistics, in the month of January, we sold around 4.5 lakh tons, and in the month of February also we are going at that rate. Generally, the last month being the month of the financial year, everybody does better actually. We are also hoping to do a 5 lakh ton, but we could not do because of this pattern. We could achieve hardly 3.5 lakh tons.
Right, sir. And credit rating agencies and steel organizations see a decline in steel demand in calendar 2020 as well as FY21. What do you feel about the COVID impact on steel demand? And when do you expect the market to rebound?
The steel market was certainly bad up to, I will say, up to the month of May, the middle of May, and after 15th or 16th of May month, there was a slightly surge in the market. There were a domestic movement started because of the movement of the interstate transportation. Transportation started on the instance of the government. Then of course the railways, they had certainly took a very good decision that they could continue with the movement of the goods even during this difficult time. But the interstate transportation, the private transport system was stopped. So that caused the problem till middle of May. But after middle of May, it started looking up, and we could sell around 2 lakh tons of steel in the domestic market, whereas we sold around only say 75 to 80,000 tons of steel in the month of April in the domestic market.
Right. And talking in general about steel demand recouping, what would you have to say on that?
I think whatever that impetus, the financial impetus given to different sectors, particularly MSMEs by the government of India, the downstream plants will revive. And once they revive, there will be a surge in the demand of the market, surge in the demand of steel, then only the market will come. So whatever impetus has been given by the government, certainly it is going to show its result in a month, and I think after that only the real pickup of the demand be there. So I think that in that line, actually, for the month of June, we also have taken a target of around 2.5 lakh tons of steel sales in the domestic market.
RINL.
Yeah, RINL. We have taken up that target. Okay. And because the market is just showing up, and the MSME sector is also showing up, the downstream companies, they are starting their production line. That's the reason why probably the market is also looking up. Then if you talk of the 2021, I think in the second quarter, certainly the market is going to, in my view, the market is going to be strong in the second quarter, starting from the second quarter of the financial.
So from June onwards, you feel that things are going to take a turn for the better?
Yeah, from June onwards, there will be a demand surge of actually.
Sir, you have already dwelt at length on how bad a blow COVID-19 delivered on RINL. You eventually had to close 2 of your BFs, right? And what is the current state of BF operations at the plant? And what is the capacity utilization and inventory levels at present?
We have got 3 blast furnaces of 7,500 tons each capacity. And the moment this lockdown started, I think on 25th of March when the lockdown started, we initially stopped a blast furnace. And during the month of April, I think on April 13th, we stopped the second furnace because there was no domestic sales, and there was a inventory pile up of around 7.5 lakh tons of steel. That's the reason why we stopped the second blast furnace also. So if we see at the moment, we are running only a single blast furnace out of 3. So that comes to around 33% of our production capacity.
So what is your volume at present per day volume?
Volume of steel production is around 6,500. Last month it was around 5,700 tons. Now this month will be going at around the 6,500 tons, seeing the slight demand, growing demand. We are aiming at around 6,500 tons a day.
Right. And usually, in normal circumstances, how much is it per day?
We generally produce around 18,000 tons of steel from 3 blast furnaces.
Right. And your inventory levels at present? Have you been
Inventory level, we liquidated some amount in the month of May. As I told you that there was a slight surge in the demand, in the domestic demand, wherein we sold around 1.5 lakh tons of steel in the month of May domestically in the domestic market. So we have liquidated around 7.5 lakh tons of steel that we had the inventory during the beginning of the financial year. At this moment, we are having around 6 lakh tons of steel.
Right. And sir, provided demand picks up post-lockdown, how quickly could RINL's idle BF start functioning? What is the time taken for full ramp-up in BF operations in general?
We have a history of ramping up of the production because in 2019-20 also we had stopped a furnace because of the sluggishness of steel market. In the month of September, we had stopped a furnace and we could revive that furnace within 15 days. So I think if the market really shows a sign of good improvement, market shows a really good sign of improvement, then we'll be able to do it in I think 3 weeks of time we can normalize a blast furnace. That is our confidence.
Right. And since you said that you expect demand to rebound from the second quarter, so can we expect at least one of your BFs to start, to resume operations?
Yes, if the construction sector and the auto sector, these are the two sectors where the most percentage of around 60% of our steel goes into. If one of the sectors actually revive because of this stimulus or whatever, 20,000 crores of money has been gone into of the government, certainly we will start the second blast furnace hopefully in the month of July. Then we will be able to see that what happens in the market. Then we'll decide upon the third blast furnaces starting depending upon the market situation.
Right, sir. Sir, with domestic demand almost at a nil, most steelmakers were looking at exports in a big way. So how are you tapping into the exports market? Which are the markets you're being able to serve at present since most of the world has been in lockdown? Are you getting the targeted volumes and prices in the exports market as well?
Yes, we liquidated our steel actually through exports only. That steel inventory we had through exports only. In the month of April, we exported around I think 1,50,000 tons. And in the month of May also, we exported around 1 lakh. In the month of April, we exported around 1,20,000 tons. And in the month of May, we exported around 1,50,000 tons of steel, semis, and 25,000 tons of pigs. And in the month of June, we have set a target of around 2 lakh tons of steel for exports.
2 lakh tons. And China, which is in the process of emerging from the pandemic, is giving infrastructure a big push, and steel mills there are looking to buy semis. So what do you feel about China likely creating a demand of 20 million tons for semis? Do you see an opportunity there for RINL?
In China, probably to my understanding, China is buying the semis, probably the mills they are operating and the steel making facilities probably they are not using at this moment. And that's the reason why there is a surge in demand for the semis in China, which is probably going into the construction sector or the infrastructure sectors. And if this continues for a couple of months now, at least the semis export to China, and semis, of course, they go to Middle East countries. So I think the export scenario will be quite a consistent one for a couple of months. That's what I presume.
Right. And is it only the Chinese market that you service, or is it there are some other geographies as well?
Like predominantly it is a Chinese, but we also have sold our steel export. We have exported our steel to Middle East countries. If you say out of we exported around 1,50,000 tons in the month of May, I think 60,000 tons have gone to Middle East and 90,000 tons have gone to China.
Okay. And going forward, this ratio will remain. You will sustain this ratio.
It may vary, it may change, but point is that China is predominantly getting the semis into their country. So it may so happen that China may take a lion's share in the export quantities that India probably is doing.
Will billet prices stay strong in the near term, considering oversupply in the market by Indian integrated producers?
Yes, the billet prices have billet price has pumped up because if you see what used to have around $355 a month per ton in the month of April is hovering around $380 to $85 in the month of May. So I think the billet price is coming up as far as the export is concerned, and domestically also the demand has picked up, and the steel industries are a little bit cautious actually whether to take a call to increase the price. But most of us actually rolling over our prices because seeing that the demand is not significantly have come up. But in the near future, if the demand comes up, certainly there will be a jack in the price of the domestic products also. Products meant for domestic market.
So going forward, you see prices going up, firming up further.
Yes, it is quite evident from the billet price that we are selling now to the different countries, particularly Middle East and China. We see that there is quite a good jump in the price.
And by how much could you see the jump be?
It is the jump was around. I said as around from $360, say $360 to around $390 to around $30 a jump in a month. So I can see there's a jump in the price of the steel. In the month of April, when we were exporting steel, that will semi, it was around $360.
Right. And
in the month of May, when we exported, it was around $390.
right.
So there was a jump of around $30. I can see export price per
Right.
ton.
Yeah, and you expect this this kind of an increase to sustain.
Yeah, because you
The
see,
rate of increase to sustain.
yeah, because after all, you see this, there is a demand in the market, and because
Right.
due to lockdown things are subdued. But the moment the lockdown is getting released in spades, or they're getting released by and by, then automatically the market also is going up. This is quite evident for us.
So, do you see a change steel scenario post COVID-19 globally and domestically? I mean, do you feel post COVID-19 the cost of steel production will go up globally in the country? And how can this be tackled? The cost of steel production.
The cost of steel production has got only one bearing, that is the tonnage that will be produced month-wise. That is the way I see it. Because if you ramp up the production also, the ramping up takes place gradually. It's not that we stop the production. So say for an example, take the case of RINL, where we have stopped two blast furnaces. And the moment we'll start one blast furnace, then we'll start the second blast furnace. So the moment gradually only the production volume will pick up. And if the production volume picks up gradually, then the cost of production generally will go up, because as a public sector, generally the facilities that we have with us, we maintain even for single blast furnace or two blast furnaces. So optimally, to run the three blast furnace, then only the price will come up. The cost of production will come down. Else certainly the cost of production will be higher as for for the company like us.
What kind of an impact will the latest stimulus package, which is 10% of the GDP, have on steel in general, sir?
See that the steel as a whole, it contributes around 3% to the tune of around 3% of the GDP. And mostly, if you see steel's contribution, that is in terms of construction, then it comes to around. If I talk of, I will talk with respect to RINL and in particular, and as a whole to all the steel industries. If you see the construction sector, it consumes around 50 to 60% of the total, 45% I would say of the total steel used in the country. And if you see that the auto sector and all and the other the yeah, what I'm trying to say is that the steel's contribution as a if you see in particular, then it is around 3% of the GDP. So if you talk of the stimulus they have given us and they have given to the industry, particularly the construction sectors and to the MSMEs and all, uh, s- and the steel consumption has to grow up, and in that way, proportionately, there will be a contribution from this to the GDP.
Going forward, sir, when you see investments picking up in the near term from steel mills, what will be the long-lasting effect of the current lockdown on India's goal of bolstering annual steel output? Do you think, if I may continue with this question, do you think integrated steel manufacturers will continue with significant new capex?
That there is going to be a small impact on the capex of the integrated steel players, because first they have to settle down in their production line. There's no doubt.
Right.
And capex, the expenditure of on the capital or the new projects. Certainly, somebody a businessman should look at take it to the later part. Actually, first to let us stabilize the production. Then only somebody will go for an expansion, or somebody will try to add production capacity by adding some more equipments or some more facilities. But certainly, because of this COVID, the capex, the capital expenditure will see a southward direction for the integrated steel players.
And sir, how has the present crisis altered the perspective of makers with regard to plant operations, need for automation, raw material security, cash management?
See, the COVID-19 has taught us many lessons. If you see that, number one, if you see, I will talk of some few points. Talk of the technology, where it is a it is generally a labor-intensive unit. Steel industry is a very labor-intensive unit, and this COVID-19, where this social distancing has become a reality, and which is really required to avoid such a disease to expand. Then the digitization or the instrumentation or the automation becomes really a requirement of the industry. So technology wise, it has taught us a lesson. So certainly we will look for more and more automation, so that this human interventions are minimized. That is number one. Number two, talk of the raw material securitization. You see, every industry should have an optimum level of inventory because of efficiency of the operation. But such a situation where all of a sudden the movement of the transport, the private transport movement and all, they got stopped totally. So it has also opened up our eyes that little bit we should be more cautious with respect to our spares and with respect to our consumables, because the consumables and the spares became really a problem when had we continued the production. You think of a company, actually, suppose no, they didn't have any inventory and they would have continued the production, then certainly this spares and consumables would be the issue. That's what I feel. And with respect to raw material securitization. And anything you mentioned actually? Anything else?
Cash management, liquidity.
That's quite obvious that in such a tough situation when the marketing is really difficult and we don't sell steel, your cash availability only will make you run through this difficult time, and that's why your some I think personally that you should have some cash at your hand so that you'll be able to manage such difficult.
The 300 million tons by 2030, does it still seem possible to achieve this goal? Is India's steel dream still intact, COVID-19 or not?
300 million ton steel capacity certainly is going to happen in this country. There is no doubt in this. And when the steel ministry declared this as a mission, I will say that it is a mission to have 300 million tons. We had at that time added around 20-25 million tons. I think we had come up to 130 million tons of capacity prevalent in this country by the time. I think by the time they declared this. Certainly, COVID-19, this pandemic has put a brake on this. There is no doubt in this. Because all the steel industries first have to stabilize their production. Then only, as I said, the capex will come into picture, the capital expenditure to add any production capacity and all that. Certainly, that will be taking a second line thinking or little bit of postponement. But at the end, if you see that if this country has to grow, steel consumption has to grow. And if the steel consumption has to grow, automatically, the most important thing is that we should have our own steel. And if you see this government's objectives of this Atmanirbhar Steel, the yojanas and all that suppose you talk of, then certainly these industries, the steel industry has to produce the requisite steel for its own uses, and for that it has to have its own plant. And I think in that line, what I should say is that ministry's objective of having 300 million ton steel capacity in this country, although maybe delayed a bit actually, but point is that it will be a reality. Because it's a developing country and its economy is growing, and whatever that, of course, that trillion, I think 5 trillion economy the government was aiming at. If we all look at that figure, steel will be a part of that. Steel certainly will contribute 2% or 3% of it, as I said. It gives rise to 3% of the GDP. So if that economy is 5 trillion, then automatically the steel has to go up to that 300 million ton capacity. That's what
So going forward, steel should be contributing 2% of the $5 trillion economy.
That is what mathematically I should say that if it is contributing to that, then if the economy is 5 trillion, at least 1/3 it should be from steel.
Right. So coming back to RINL, it had set a target, revenue target of 27,000 crore, which I remember you had told me is a stiff target for us. So are you on track to achieving this figure in FY20? And secondly, what is the target set for FY21? And do you need to revise the figure for FY21 due to COVID-19?
The figure has not yet been revised, but you see in the 2018-19 we had a turnover of around 20,000 crore. I think we touched that figure 20,000 crore. So we also had an ambitious target of 27,000 crore in financial year 20. That is 2019-20.
Right.
But we could achieve only around 16,000 crore actually turnover because of the sluggishness in the market and all. Not achieve that 20,000.
Right.
But this year, but certainly the moment you don't touch it, you take it as a target next financial year. So we thought of taking to again 27,000, but I think that because of this COVID and hopefully the market looking up in the second quarter only. Probably we'll be reaching around 18,000 tons, 18,000 crore this financial year. That looks to be a realistic figure actually, because this year also with a lot of difficulties when the market was not so good, we could achieve around 16,000 crore. So I think 16,000 to 18,000 crore in between, some figure will be reaching this financial year.
Right. So between 16,000 to 18,000 crore for FY21. So what is the hot metal production, liquid steel, saleable steel targets for FY21 over FY20?
If you see that financial year 20, let us take the year actually, where we produced around 5.2 million tons of hot metal, around 5 million tons of steel, liquid steel, and around 4.5 million tons of saleable steel. These are the three figures for the financial year 20. And if you see 2019-20, so if you see this year also, we have taken it. Initially we thought of taking a target of around 5.7. Again, what we did not do last year. Yeah, let me tell you that in this financial year, the financial year 2020-21, we'll be achieving around 5.5 million tons of hot metal, around 5 million tons of liquid steel, and around 4.7 million or 4.8 million tons of saleable steel. That is what I take this.
Were these your targets, or have you revised these downward?
The MOUs have not been set actually for this year, but I think we should aim. We are aiming at this target, but let us see what is good.
Okay. And with the lockdown easing, what are your production and sales targets in the coming quarters, sir?
Because 3 blast furnaces, out of 3 blast furnaces, we are operating only 1, so it is 1/3 of the capacity.
Yes, and going forward, like by how much you can?
Yeah, we think in the month of July we are going to start the second blast furnace.
Okay.
And seeing the market demand, will go for the full rated capacity in the month of August. Because generally it takes 15 to 21, around 21 days, around 3 weeks of time for a blast furnace to stabilize.
Right.
So if you say July and August.
Are your May total saleable steel production, turnover, and exports better than the figures in April?
Certainly. Yes. It is much better than month of April. I said in the month of April we sold around 2 lakh tons of saleable steel, but in the month of May we sold around 3 lakh tons of saleable steel, 1.5 lakh ton export and 1.5 lakh ton domestic. And if my production was hardly 1 lakh tons in the month of April, but in the month of May we have produced around 1.5 lakh tons of saleable steel.
Right. And do you have any debts on your book?
I think it was around 1.8 lakh tons of saleable steel in the month of
May. Do you have any debts on your books, sir?
Yeah, generally any steel industry will have a working capital loan and a capex loan, and we also.
Yeah, if you could elaborate a bit on that and how do you propose to service the same?
Yeah, we have got around 12,000 crores of working capital loan and around 9,000 crores of capex loan. Mm-hmm. And so far servicing them has not been a problem. We have never deferred any any payment to the banks, to the government banks. We have never deferred any payment to the MSMEs and banks. So with the condition of this market showing the sign of recovery, certainly it will become easier for us to serve our debts. There will be no problem with this.
And what about investments in FY21?
We have taken a target of around 700 crores for this 2020-21 because as I said, generally the capex is looking down a bit for this because of this COVID. So last year we had a capital expenditure of around 1,400 crores, and this year we are aiming at around 700 crores.
And where will this go mainly into?
This will be going for that whatever some of our expansion jobs and some of the, although we have completed the expansion to 7.3, but some of the small units are still left out, and the supportive systems. And mostly it will go to our post wheel plant that we are constructing, and we are planning for 700 crores of capital expenditure, where this facilities for a total expansion of 7.3 billion ton, some facilities for 7.3 million ton expansion, and mostly for the post wheel plant construction at Raebareli, which also is causing and nearing the completion. There, this expenditure will go in.
That is the forged wheel factory at Raebareli?
Yeah, the post wheel factory. Yeah.
Right. So I believe RINO's medium merchant structural mill has rolled out billets of 125 into 125 mm. Is it the first company to do so? How are these products different in terms of usages and advantages, sir?
It is not the first company to do so, because 125 into 125 billets are being rolled in many of the plants, and in 125 into 125 billets also are being produced through continuous casting route in our integrated steel plants. But seeing the semis demand, actually the export demand, we thought that we would have that product from our rolling mill, which we were not producing. By certain modifications, by certain modifications of the equipment, we produced 125 into 125 billet, because this 125 into 125 billet we were not selling outside. We were using it for our domestic requirement. But we thought there is a demand of the semis, so we produced that actually in excess.
Yeah. So how much is the volume at present?
We produced around, on a trial basis, we produced around 500 tons, and we have given it to a domestic market. And we are very hopeful, because it will have certainly very better metallurgical properties, and very much better metallurgical properties. So we are thinking of exporting them also. And we can produce. I think. Whatever the requirement in a huge sum also, a huge amount also we can produce. If it is required more than 2,000-3,000 tons, or more than even, I think a day, because our medium merchant structural mill capacity itself is 8,000 tons a month, around 90,000 tons a month. So we can produce to that extent if it is required.
Yeah, your voice again swallowed up half the points. The capacity of the mill is 90,000 tons per month, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it is required, we can produce entire 90,000 tons as semis 125 billets. There is no problem.
Yeah, and if you do so, you would be looking at the exports market as well for this product.
Yes, it will help us, because the semis as we said earlier, that there is a good demand of semis in the export market. So this will help us.
Yeah. And which geographies would you be looking at in particular for these large billets?
These billets will go to, there is a good demand coming from the Middle East countries.
Okay.
They have inquired after this 125 billets. So 125 into 125 billets. So we think we'll repeat it. If we get a price actually, certainly we'll be sending them to Middle East.
Yeah. So how soon could you be ramping up productions for these?
Mills we generally run our mills at more than 100% efficiency and rated capacity. This medium merchant structural mill and all other mills, they are running. They generally run at more than 100% efficiency and 100% capacity. So only thing is that if the market looks up, the ramping up of the production is not an issue from the mills.
And anything else that you would like to add, sir?
I only should say that during this difficult time, let's be safe, stay home, and see that we maintain good health to run our plants in a more efficient manner. That is what I should wish to everybody.
Thank you, sir, for giving us your time, and please stay safe. And thank you very much once again. And
I also thank you so much, and all this, you give me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, once again.
be safe and stay home.
Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for listening in. And please stay tuned because there'll be a series of more podcasts and webinars. So watch out for this space. Thank you so much. I'm Madhumita Mukherjee signing out. Thank you.
ఈ వీడియో మీకు నచ్చినట్లయితే లైక్ చేయండి, మీకు తెలిసిన వారితో షేర్ చేయండి. ఇలాంటి వీడియోస్ మరిన్ని చూడటానికి మన ఛానల్కి సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి. పక్కనే ఉన్న బెల్ ఐకాన్ క్లిక్ చేసి ఆల్ నోటిఫికేషన్స్ సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోండి.